I am back at it again, and I have noticed a new issue with my 2001 Suzuki SV650S. It's a problem I wish I would have taken care of over the winter, but the problem hadn't presented itself yet, so I didn't. And that is I have an issue with the Penske 8983 rear shock, and that is I've got a pretty substantial leak somewhere here on this shock. And it needs to be rebuilt. The Penske 8983 in this type of series, they do, all the Penske shocks, they do sell rebuild kits and everything that you could do it yourself. I'm not confident enough in myself in rebuilding rear shocks, so I am going to take this somewhere. I called Penske. I can have it serviced for 175 bucks, or I can buy the kit for myself for 90. So this seems like a no-brainer. Ship it to them, but the thing is, it's going to be about 4 weeks out. And then they also recommended another shop nearer to me that's a little bit more expensive, but I could drive it there, drop it off, and probably get it back a little bit quicker. And I think I'm going to do that because I'd actually like to talk to somebody about these and maybe learn a little bit more. So I got the shock out. I followed Mad8V's video about this, and it went okay. I've been looking at I used a combination of the manual and his video. Now, I had a harder time getting mine off than the video suggested that I would, because the linkage bolts in mine, two of them were in backwards, which meant I couldn't press them out because the exhaust was in the way. So what I needed to do was basically, I had to loosen the collar up front and I took the whole mid-pipe muffler assembly off and I pulled the exhaust down so I could twist it and then get the pins out. So what I've done to lift the rear of the bike up a little bit is I've actually strung it from the ceiling using a ratchet strap. That jack isn't actually doing anything. It's not touching anything. I put it there in case I needed like 1 millimeter to bump the pins out, but I've actually got it pretty good with this. There's a couple other ways you can do this to get the rear wheel off. Obviously you can use a paddock stand, but you want the wheel to be just touching the ground. So that's not a lot of force there. So it's lined up like perfectly for me. There's a couple other ways you can, lift the bike up. You could invert your foot pegs, or, well, if you got solid ones, you don't need to invert them. Put jack stands under it. A couple different ways you could get it up. I took a lot more off because I thought I might be able to get the shock out this way when I couldn't, drive those pins out. I thought I might be able to not take one of them out and pull the shock through here, and that wasn't happening. If you do end up doing this, bleed your brakes, because the hardest thing about getting to there is taking off all the rear body work. It only takes like 5 minutes to flush it through. So I'm going to try to reinstall the stock shock. So big time downgrade from the 8983 to this one, but I'm actually kind of curious to see what this will feel like, the difference will feel like. It looks like these here right now are set to the same height, so I shouldn't have issue. I shouldn't have issue putting this one in, and it'll be just temporary, but I'm kind of curious to feel just how different it is, because people say this thing is really not good. Luckily, the previous owner actually threw this in with the bike for me, so hopefully I'm not like shit out of luck not being able to ride it. I've cleaned up all the components just because it's easier to work with clean components. I think I'm going to put the exhaust on after I finish up, because I can then lower the bike down and kind of grunt the pipe back on in the rear and whatnot. So I need to clean this up a little bit, but I got to pull this out, and this is a good time to go through and re-grease it. So I've been checking to see that these all roll well, and I think we're good to go. I'm just going to put some new that Valvoline molybdenum stuff. Uh-oh, don't go losing pieces of paper in here. So yeah, I'll grease these all back up, and then I'm going to try to reinstall it. So there's not a ton of tools involved in this. If you have an impact wrench, it makes things a heck of a lot easier. 14 and 17 are the two main wrenches that you're going to be using, and then 14 and 17 sockets. On the reinstallation, we are going to need to torque things to, I believe, I had it up there earlier, but it's like 50 foot-pounds on, I shouldn't say blanket statement 50 foot-pounds, because the shank of these two look different. So there's probably two different torque values that I'm going to end up having to use. But yeah, 17, 14, and get the rear wheel up, and you should be able to get the shock, drop it out, and then I'm going to send this one in to get serviced. I'm going to try to put this one in now. I'm going to try feeding the shock back up through. It is directional in that there's sort of like a, well, it's not a captive nut, but it's going to thread in through this side, so I want to put the pin in this way on the bottom, but the top is going to have a 14 bolt through it, and then a 14 nut on the other side. Let's see if I can get this up in here. I don't think I want to tighten this yet, and I greased everything. Let's put that there, so now my shock is hanging, and I can figure out how to put the linkage back on. Now that we've got the 17mm nuts loosely, well, one 17 on the back of there, this one's loosely in here, I'm going to try to put the dog bones off. So these are 20F. I don't know what exactly that means, but that looks like it is the stock one. So I need to get these lined up. And this is what the issue was before, is that it came through this way, so I couldn't tap it out. So I need to put these through the other way. And hopefully I'm able to, oh yes. See, now I can pull it out. You see how it's bumping the exhaust? That's why I had to move it to pull these things out. Now I just got to get these 17s on the, well, I got to fight the exhaust. Oh yeah, I'm going to have to fight it a little bit. Oh, not too bad. There's one thing you want to do before you put the dog legs on, is that, and you want to tighten up the lower shock mount to 37 foot-pounds, 50 Newton meters. Reason being, if I'm under here, I can see if the dog bone was in the way, I wouldn't be able to actually tighten this one, well, from the other side, because the dog bone would be in the way. So I'm going to tighten this one down, torque it to 37 first. Then I'll get everything else loosely up, and then these will be torqued to, God, I just saw it. Those will be torqued to what, 50? 57 foot-pounds, 78 Newton meters. And the top one over here will also be 37 foot-pounds or 50 Newton meters. Okay. I think this is a part you'll really struggle if you don't have the balance of the wheel, well, swing arm, kind of just right, lining up these dog bones. Now I've got this one tight, and this should pop, yeah, pop through. And now I can get my 17 on here, and I think I can go through, torque these to 78 Newton meters, this one and this one, and then, well, I've already got my 14 ready for the top, but I wanted to get the dog bones on first so I could see that they are aligned. Still? There, okay. All right, we got the dog bones torqued to 37 so far, but we need 57, which is, let's see, am I strong enough with this leverage? Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. I don't know what I'm doing with my leg. There we go. All right, so 57, 57, 37, no, 37, 37. I want my washers back. So, here, Mr. Nightpicks. Let's see, can I get over this? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I like that trick. I gotta keep doing that. Now I should be able to take the ratchet struts off, and I think the quickest way to do that, or easiest, instead of trying to lower it, because that would be silly, without raising it first, I shall raise it. There we go, and then I get my ratchet strap back. Did I do this one fucking backwards again? I thought I taught myself how to not do that. This is why everything I do takes so long. So someday I'll actually play around with moving these rear sets around and, you know, actually seeing what suits me best, but I'm gonna try to keep everything else the exact same for now, except I'm not putting in that rear piece, that deflector thing, because this thing isn't gonna see 25 more miles before the new shock goes on, hopefully. There's two connection points on the rear fairing that I always forget when I'm taking it off, and I can't figure out why I can't take it off, and it's these two. They're just little screws that end up going in there, and I'm saying that so that I remember that I need to take those off the next time, or else I'm gonna have a rough go at getting this thing on. Those need to go up there. Okay, well, yeah, right about there. Okay, so I will need to go get my box of mini fairing screws. Those need to land in there, those need to land there, those need to land up there, then I need to button that, I need to button that, and I need to put those two in that I will forget when I try to take it off. So at this point, I think I got everything buttoned up, tightened up. All I got to do to make this thing rideable again on the street is put the mirrors back on, pull the tape off, I put the fuses back in, and I connected up the lights again. I'm not gonna go ride it now, but I'm kind of curious if it changed the ride height at all. I don't think it would because the shock was the same length, but I guess this spring is basically sprung for like, I don't know, a 120-pound person or something like that. One other thing I did notice is that on this Hyperco, I do have a 675, which is probably 25 pounds too heavy for me, but it's not something I'm actually gonna change. If I get better, I got so many other things to worry about than that, so let's see if everything's just going to fall apart when I put it on the ground. Well, the shock's not locking in place, so that's good. Come on. All right, so I mean, the height feels the same. It is squishier. Oh, I already don't like this. Oh, the rebound is, it's slow. Well, this might suck for a little while, but I might end up doing a track day on the stock shock. If you watched this far, thanks for watching.